Hello, welcome back to Catholic Reboot. Since I caught up on most of the feast days of the saints, what I'm going to try to do is stay disciplined and stay on them every day. So today is the feast day of St. Catherine of Siena, and there's a little bit of correction because my calendar shows her feast day as April 30th, but technically it's actually April 29th. So, St. Catherine of Siena was born in 1347 and she died in 1380. She was the daughter of a tradesman, a Catholic tradesman, and she was somewhat raised up to be a guide for the Catholic Church in one of its darkest periods of its history, the 14th century. She was so pious that as a child, she would say the Hail Mary every time she took a step on a staircase. And it was, he had throughout her life, Christ, revealed secrets to her as far as Christian perfection. When she was only 7 years old, she made a vow of virginity and was willing to endure persecution, even for refusing to get married, which was somewhat unheard of in those days. Her parents kind of persisted, but she just continued to refuse, and they eventually allowed her to enter the religious life, which was really her own true ambition. But she made a spiritual kind of penitential retreat in internally, and they said that she found at the age of 15 that she would be better served as the third order of Saint Dominic, um, but to continue to reside in her father's house, where she was basically called to a very active life of charity and prayer and contemplation throughout her life. Um, because of that, she was actually granted the stigmata, but what was unusual was that her stigmata could not be viewed by others, right? So she was taken to uh, the life of more charity and works of redemption, and was actually what they called armed with papal authority uh, by three confessors that she had traveled with through Italy, reducing a lot of the cities that were rebellious against the obedience of the Pope and winning these souls over. Uh, they said that in sight of the problem of the anti-popes, which was occurring at that time, she went and sought out Gregory the 11th at Epnon and brought him back to Rome. And by her letters to the kings and queens of Europe, made good regarding the true pope that should be sitting in the seat of Peter, because there was a vicious anti-pope uh, situation going on in Rome at that time. She was also a counselor to Pope Urban VI, and she sternly rebuked a lot of the disloyal cardinals who took part in electing the anti-popes. Um, Long before the schism, she actually foretold that the schism would begin before she died. So day and night they said she wept and prayed for the unity and peace of the church. But in her in her dreams, she saw the entire city of Rome full of demons who were tempting the people to revolt and even slay the current pope. With great intensity, they said she prayed to Christ to prevent this murder, and it actually resulted in the fact that the Pope was not, in fact, murdered. But these same people vented their rage against her, and they took it out by scourging her, and she gladly endured it for the church. She died in Rome in 1380 at the age of 33, so a very young saint. Now, I wanted to kind of keep it brief because what I'm going to try to do, if I get a chance just to do one saint at a time, is I'm going to actually have a video uh, after this that was prepared by another group that did a pretty good job. So, learn the life of St. Catherine. She was a great saint and also considered a doctor of the church. And as good Catholics, we try to emulate those saints that are trying to show us the proper way to serve Christ through the Catholic Church. So thank you very much.
St Catherine of Siena was born in Siena, Italy on March 25, 1347. At the age of 16, Catherine's sister died, leaving her husband as a widower. Her parents proposed that he marry Catherine as a replacement, but Catherine opposed this. She began fasting and cut her hair short to mar her appearance. Her parents attempted to resist this move, but they were unsuccessful. Her fasting and devotion convinced them to relent and allow her to live as she pleased. Despite Catherine's piety, she did not choose to enter a convent, and instead she joined the Third Order of St. Dominic, which allowed her to associate with a religious society while living at home. St. Catherine developed a habit of giving things away, and she continually gave away her family's food and clothing to people in need. She never asked permission to give these things away, and she quietly put up with their criticisms. Something changed her when she was 21. She had an experience she described as her mystical marriage to Christ. In her vision, she was told to enter public life to help the poor and sick. She immediately went into public to help people in need. She often visited hospitals. Her activities quickly attracted followers who helped her in her mission to serve the poor and the sick. St. Catherine was given the stigmata, but it was visible only to herself. She took Blessed Raymond of Capua as her confessor and spiritual director. From 1375 onward, St. Catherine began dictating letters to scribes. She petitioned for peace and was instrumental in persuading the Pope in Avignon to return to Rome. She also established a monastery for women in 1377 outside of Siena. She is credited with composing over 400 letters, her dialogue, which is her definitive work, and her prayers. These works are so influential that St. Catherine would later be declared a doctor of the Church. She is one of the most influential and popular saints in the Church. St. Catherine died on April 29, 1380, following a prolonged period of illness and fasting. St. Catherine's feast day is April 29th. She is the patroness against fire, illness, the United States, Italy, miscarriages, people ridiculed for their faith, sexual temptation, and nurses.